legacy of the Bull Mountains. Abundant game, beautiful country, and a rich Western history all combine to make this unique part of eastern Montana one of the most fascinating hunting areas in North America today. Elk, mule deer, antelope, white-tailed deer, Merriam turkeys, ducks, geese, pheasants, and more all inhabit these low, rugged mountains and broad prairie grasslands. It's a region steeped in a rich Western history, a history of the Crow Indians and the very first mountain men, of beaver trapping and later on of gold and timber and cattle. It is an area as big as the opening of the American West and as broad and windswept as the Montana sky. This area drew bowhunters Sherry and Bill Krenz like a magnet. Ever since their marriage in July, they had anxiously awaited and eagerly planned this adventure to the Bull Mountains. For 2 full weeks, they'd bow hunt, relax, honeymoon, and enjoy the plentiful game, amazing scenery, and Western history of this region. Bill is a widely experienced and accomplished Western bow hunter, a senior member of the Pope and Young Club. He is also the vice president of one of today's largest archery equipment manufacturers, Hoyt USA. Sherry, an archer in her own right, is the national sales representative for Peterson's Bow Hunting magazine. Archery and bow hunting originally brought Bill and Sherry together. Now, appropriately, they were embarking on a new life together with a very special honeymoon bow hunt in Montana's Bull Mountains. Sherry, who grew up in Minnesota, had previously hunted extensively for eastern white-tailed deer. Her best buck, a stocky 6-pointer, had been taken in Ohio. For her, the wide-open world of western mule deer, elk, and antelope hunting was something entirely new. Bill was anxious to share his love, fascination, and knowledge of the West with his bride, so a fall hunting trip to Montana was planned. In September, after a long drive from their home in Salt Lake City, Sherry and Bill rolled into Mike and Gail Murphy's ranch. Mike and Gail run Bull Mountain Outfitters, a remarkably successful outfitting service specializing in trophy elk, deer, antelope, and turkey hunting. The first priority was a tour of the sprawling ranch. Mike and Gail either own or have leased the hunting rights on over 100,000 acres of prime Bull Mountain hunting country. The Murphy Ranch, like so many other western hunting ranches, is also a working cattle ranch. Mike, his father, and his sons all work the ranch. But in the fall, all thoughts turn from beef to venison. Bull Mountain Outfitters offers both lodge and drop camp type hunts. Bill and Sherry opted for the luxury of the big lodge. After all, this was their honeymoon. The Bull Mountains offer up a widely diverse landscape of rimrock ridges, craggy canyons rolling into ponderosa pine-covered hills that open to grasslands or lower, brushy river bottoms. In the morning, you can be striding through tall pines high on the ridges. By noon, you could be in the rougher canyons, rimrocks, and junipers. Toward evening, you may have worked into the prairie grasslands or all the way down into the alfalfa, willow, and cottonwood-lined river bottoms. The diversity of the landscape is only matched by the variety of the game. Most hunters today associate elk with the high Rocky Mountains. To be sure, that is a wonderful place to find good bulls, but today, some of the very biggest bulls are now being seen, hunted, and taken in the lower minor mountain ranges and ridge country that borders the eastern prairies. Elk were once predominantly prairie animals. Today, with proper protection and good game management, they've moved back into those regions. Such are the Bull Mountains of Montana. Elk, once nearly wiped out by pioneers and early settlers, have now come back strong. On almost any September day, their bugles again echo through the pines of the Bull Mountains and float across the valleys. In fact, some of the largest bulls in the state now reside in these secluded hills. Mule deer also flourish in the Bull Mountains. For the bow hunter, deer season and elk season run concurrently. That fact played a large part in Bill and Sherry's choice of Bull Mountain Outfitters. Bill wanted to introduce Sherry to both western species on a single hunt. Mike and Gail's past hunters had taken many superb mule deer trophies. But mule deer weren't the only deer in the Bull Mountains. Hidden in the dense brush along the lower river bottoms are some of the West's biggest white-tailed deer. Almost like frosting on an already good cake, the Bull Mountains also support healthy herds of pronghorn antelope and abundant flocks of wild Merriam turkeys. In the Bull Mountains, there's opportunity for a bow hunter if he or she has the stamina to hunt elk, mule deer, antelope, white-tailed deer, and turkeys all in the same day. Although this wide and varied western hunting was the main Bull Mountain stimulus for both Bill and Sherry, they would also discover that this unique region held many other treasures. Both bow hunters had long been fascinated by the history of the western plains and mountain Indians, and felt that modern bow hunting owed much to that Indian legacy. Scouting the countryside revealed clear evidence of ancient tribes, many years before Crow Indians and their rivals had lived and hunted on these same grounds. In later years, pioneers traveled west and built homesteads in this region, some of which are still standing.
These old cabins are really special. You can see here where you use the hand axe and cut that out.
And then they filled it with this mud. Is this mud?
Yeah, just mixed mud and probably some grass and weeds and bark you can see in here. How big a tree do you think that came from, that big top piece? You know,
They hauled it.
I don't know. You know, last night Mike said something I've been thinking about all morning. He talked about the legacy up here, and he said something about the first hunters in the area being the Crow Indians, maybe some Cheyenne. And from there, then you had mountain men moving up in this country. And that was, what, 100 years ago?
Middle 1800s.
Yeah. And then after the mountain men, then you've got, settlers, like probably built this cabin.
This would be a settler.
Yeah,
I think.
I think
Way
you're right.
too fancy for mountain men.
After the settlers, then you've got ranchers like Mike, and you've got you've got a legacy there just in the ranch life. You've got Chuck, Mike's dad, then Mike. He's got his two boys now on the ranch. And then Mike said, then there's us. There's you and I. There's the modern day hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So we're part of the legacy up here in this Bull Mountain country too. In fact, I guess we could say there's a legacy of me handing the hunting on to you. You know, my bride now hunting with me. That makes it all pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that, a Bull Mountain legacy.
With the ranch tour complete, Bill, Sherry, and Mike headed back to the lodge to make their final preparations. Bows were unlimbered, practice shots were taken, equipment and muscles were checked and fine-tuned. Even camouflage choice was discussed. Both Bill and Mike agreed that ASAT camo would be the ideal choice for the varied terrain of the Bull Mountains.
I'm amazed at how big these elk are.
Well, they are. They're considerably bigger. I mean, if you compare this with the antelope decoy behind you, you can see that just at the shoulders there's a big difference. And trying to figure out distances when you're looking at them, whether they're out in the open or in the trees, can really be thrown off just by the size of the elk. So you need to get your head kind of oriented to the fact that an elk is really this big. Shot placement becomes really important. And the trick to think about this is to remember that there are two lungs. There's one on this side, covers an area about like this, but there's also a lung on the back side. There's two lungs. They sit side by side in here. And what I try to do when I'm shooting at a big animal like elk is I try to think of it in my mind as two water balloons. And what I want to do is I want to break both water balloons with a single arrow. I want to puncture the first one and the one on the back side. And that becomes important when I look at the angles, whatever that elk, however he's turned. If he's quartering away from me, I can put an arrow in through here. It takes the first one, but it also takes the back one. And that's going to put him down real quick. Now, if he's quartering to me and I have to bring the arrow in from this direction, I really can't get the front one and the back one without putting it up here. And then I've got the shoulder blade, so I've got a real problem. Now, if I try to figure out where to shoot him, I can divide him just about in half and then shoot him below that line a little bit, right behind the shoulder, and try to get the angle so that I can get both the onside lung and the backside lung as it goes through. Now on an elk, you've got about 10 inches is the depth in here, 10 to 12 inches, where you can actually take the lungs out, take both of them out. On an antelope like this decoy right behind us here, it's a lot smaller. You've got probably 6 inches in here, but it's the same thing. You want to think about this lung and the lung on the backside. One little trick to do, both on an antelope and an elk, is to actually aim at the one on the backside. If that antelope is at a real sharp angle way back here, I may have to hit him back here. It'll catch this lung and hit the one on the backside. So if I think about that backside lung on little animals and on great big ones like elk, I'm probably going to be better off when I try to figure out where my arrow should be.
Due to an extremely wet year, the antelope were not drawn to certain water holes. Therefore, Sherry and Bill decided to use life-size decoys to provide cover and attract the bucks. This method is most effectively used during the rut that occurs in September. A buck may be attracted to either a doe or buck decoy depending on the situation. If a small buck intrudes on a herd buck's territory, the larger buck might put the run on the smaller one. Therefore, a hunter with a small buck decoy could conceivably get a challenge. A doe decoy would be used if a buck is attempting to keep its does together and believes the decoy to be a stray. Also, a small buck such as this is sometimes curious enough to check out a decoy imitating either sex. No matter what, bow hunting with decoys during the rut adds an exciting dimension to the sport. Caution overcame his curiosity, and the buck never quite made it into bow range. Bill shows Sherry a few tips on elk hunting later that afternoon.
See here? Now this is what we've been talking about. When we're looking for elk, we're trying to find sign, and then we try to interpret that sign. Here's a bed, and it's probably where a bull's been laying, probably within the last couple hours. He probably bedded down here this morning. They like these level areas like this, kind of little benches. Mm-hmm. But when we're looking for elk, we're going to spend a lot of time looking for things like this. There's some droppings here. We found those. If we looked around here, we'd probably find other things. We'd probably some tracks in the area. We'd probably find some scraped trees where they've been rubbing their horns. Okay, here. See? Now this is a good rub. In fact, that's an exceptional rub. A lot of times you can tell maybe how big that bull is by the size of the tree they'll attack. You get a smaller bull, and he's going to go to a smaller tree. They like trees that give, that kind of bend back and forth, and they'll rub it. They just love rubbing these trees. As you can see, they'll take the bark and scrape it right off them. You can also get an idea how big the bull is. In addition to the size of the tree, you can get that idea from how tall that rub is. How high that bull stands and then how high his antlers are above him. That one, gosh, I can reach my bow and it would barely touch the top. It goes way up there. So that's a real good rub. They're probably made by a good bull. Maybe the same bull that had that bed over there. Let's slip down here. Let's see what's down this way.
Okay.
Here, some more sign.
How do you know when to set up?
Well, that's a tough one. It really is. But for me, I try to figure out when by figuring out where. To me, that's the whole deal. And if you look around here, this would be a great spot. In fact, this would be a real good spot. You know, this would be the kind of spot I'd use if I were setting up for a bull, say, coming in from over here through all this kind of cover. And one of the things I'm looking for is some background cover. In fact, instead of standing up when that bull comes in, I'm probably going to kneel. You know, I'm going to get down like this. There seems to be something about the upright silhouette of a man that they identify with danger. So if I get down on my knees, and I do this probably 99% of the time when I'm calling a bull in, I'll get on my knees and I'll make sure there's a screen brush behind me. I'll kind of get in and hug a tree a little bit. That way, I've got free movement in front, because even though I think that bull's going to come down here, he may not. He may come down the ridge and then come into me or above me. And if I got behind this stuff, tried to hide behind it, it restricts me too much. So I like it. I like being in front of it. And then by getting down, I seem to eliminate the kind of problems that you'd have if I were standing up. Mike's got a pretty good group of guides back there, and we'll probably break up. You know, these elk they're scattered in this kind of open Bull Mountain country. Mm-hmm. So what we'll do is you're going to go with guide, and I'll go with a guide, and Mike may come with us some of the times, and we'll split up. And that I think it'll double our chances, just because those elk are scattered, and if we kind of scatter out, we'll just have a better opportunity of finding elk.
Yeah, one thing I notice is they really move a lot.
Yeah.
Where we find them one day, they're not there the next day, and they're counties away, it seems like.
Yeah, that's it exactly. So if we can cover more ground, and we can do that by kind of splitting up, we'll hunt together some more. You know, in fact, we'll probably chase some antelope together too, maybe in the afternoons when the elk are bedded down. But for tomorrow morning at least, let's count on doing that. Let's split up, and you go with somebody, and I'll head off in a different direction. See if we can't find them that way.
Okay.
In the rest of this program, you'll share in the action-packed highlights of Bill and Sherry's Bull Mountain hunts. Early in the morning, one of Mike's guides, Rusty, leads Sherry into a herd of elk.
It could be a herd cow, a lead cow. If it is, the whole herd's gonna come this way. We can cross the fence right there. Let's cross the fence.
Rusty and Sherry skirted the meadow to intercept the elk as they moved toward the timber.
ridge. It moves a little jumpy to the left side.
The herd bull perceives Rusty as a challenge to his harem and responds by moving his cows out of the area. Meanwhile, Bill and another guide, Dave, have their own encounter. You never know when a satellite bull is going to sneak in and catch you in the open. Bill and Dave hear another elk and head off in hot pursuit.
Down a calf right there. We're almost off that point. I think they're coming around the bottom of that ridge. Yeah, let's go down around. See that big rock down there? Yeah. It was about 50 yards behind that. There he is. See his feet? Okay, he's gonna cross. He's not a monster six. He's a decent bull. Looks like a decent 6-point. Most of his cows, I think, are going with him around that point there. There's a cow. Ah, that sounds good. That's good stuff. That's kind of fun. How's that? Jar going? Yeah, mine was. You're gonna have to get you a better guide that can pull in a bigger bull.
How big do you think that bull was?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 2.5, 3.5-year-old.
Yeah. Big 5-point.
Yeah. Well, you know, I knew I should have brought my bow.
Yeah, that was a light
probably score 245, 250, maybe 260, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Nice bull.
Yeah.
Real pretty.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that have been shooting that one.
Well, we got some big bulls here. You
Got a
know.
lot of time left too.
This area is good. Bull Mountains has really got some super elk. That's the second bull we've seen this morning. That first one that walked by us earlier, it wasn't as big as this one, but give him about 2 more years, and these 2 bulls are going to be incredible.
I'd like to see the one that was bugling back in their ways.
That deep one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was growling. He got the cows with him. Yeah. This is just a satellite all by himself.
Having spotted some antelope over the ridge, Sherry and Rusty head out for a stalk.
Yeah, the does, they crossed up here, and he went over there. I don't know, he must have called them or something. Hey, whoa, there he is. Ease down, real slow. He's looking. Get all the way down. Go ahead and lay down and get an arrow out. He's coming now.
I can't see him. How far is he?
He's coming. He's about 60 yards, and he's coming fast. Go ahead and get set. Get up. He's about 40. He's coming in. About 30 yards in that broadside. Go ahead.
He's gone.
Yeah. What happened?
Don't feel bad, Sherry. As Bill would tell you, missing is part of the game. One of Bill's favorite types of hunting is stalking mule deer. Unknown to Bill, a larger buck on the knoll above moves toward the herd. As usual, the does alert the bucks. That's the challenge of mule deer hunting in open country. Knowing that open country hunting is tough, Mike sets up stands in the river bottom on the edges of fields and trails. These stands are easy to erect and very portable. The swivel seats are comfortable and allow free movement. Both whitetail and mule deer frequent this area, giving the hunters the choice of taking either species. Sherry was astounded by the antics of this buck as it pranced across the field toward her in a fashion uncharacteristic to white-tailed deer, more like that of a Tennessee trotting horse. Sherry waited for a perfect broadside angle. But the buck was alerted to her presence. All archers have experienced this situation. An alerted buck will jump the string. Bill was set up on a river crossing nearby, anticipating a possible score on one of these mule deer. His attention was drawn to the rear buck closest to him. The angle was right, and something about his gray, muzzled appearance appealed to him. The wounded buck only went 25 yards behind Bill's stand before collapsing. Amazing. Even after the shot, the other two bucks were unaware of Bill's presence. You've got to be kidding. Mussel Shell River Muley, a unique experience and quite a prize. Benny, Sherry's new guide, planned an all-day antelope hunt. Decoy hunting is exciting. Watch. They warmed up by playing with this little buck. Sherry chooses to pass over this buck.
He's turning his head back and forth. I think we gotta have the horns, slow it down and make it look like he's disappearing.
They were getting no reaction with the doe decoy, so they decided to change it into a buck.
Do you suppose the horns did that? Seems so. He does not know what to make of this, but you know what? He can work harder than he can. What's he doing? He's making sounds again. I don't think he wants to fight right now. I think he's tangled with the buck before and lost. I don't think he wants to fight right now.
Let's go find out.
The buck was stopped by the decoy and started circling the hunters. Listen to the sounds the buck makes. This was a unique experience for Sherry. A good day at the office would never compare to a day like this. Bill and Mike set out on what was to become a rare opportunity, a combination hunt where they will encounter several different species during one day.
Oh, you see another one? No. Can't we call in a bigger bull than that? That'd be a big bull, 4 years. We called him in too early. Yeah. Now what? Seriously, I don't move. Okay. Go ahead. Now wait. Go ahead, put the decoy in. Stand on. Almost. I can't see over the top. Oh, he's gonna run over it. That'll screw that. The big buck's chasing a buck way out in the pines. The little buck's moving in, isn't he? Yeah. He just moved in. Okay. He goes back. Mike chasing right over past. There he is. There's the big buck. Yeah, it's the buck to the right up there. Here come the rest of them. Where'd that little buck go?
That's wild stuff.
Oh, it's great. Works sometimes it doesn't. Boy, when it does, it's a hoot.
Okay, Bill, that's one miss. Well, Bill, that's two misses. And that's three misses. And you promised Gail a turkey for dinner tonight. Bill uses aggressive actions to lure in the bull, but a different bull seen only by the cameraman comes in from behind. As the bull was coming in, it winded the hunters. Bill had no opportunity for a shot. Boy, what a day. Unique elk hunting tactics are developed every day, and Mike, Bill, and Sherry created one themselves. Utilizing a portable tower stand and an elk decoy, they proceeded with their plan. Elk frequent flat, open fields feeding at night, making it very difficult to get close to them. Maybe by sleeping inside the tower during the night and using a bull decoy to lure a bull into bull range, one might initiate a revolutionary new method. The decoy would be covered during the night and unveiled in the morning. The honeymoon couple planned to spend the night in the tower. They had great expectations. Thus the episode of The Honeymoon Tower. A few hours after daylight, the cameraman finally spotted movement. Oh well, some things just can't wait. Hunting during the rut provides a different element to decoying antelope. Seeing this herd buck run off another trophy buck started Bill and Sherry's wheels turning. Could they set up a buck decoy and have it attacked by either buck? The herd buck makes a scrape, providing the hunters with the opportunity to observe more rutting behavior.
That was a beauty.
I'll bet he was 16, I don't know about 17, but his prongs were so far above his ears. That's how you tell a big buck. And the prongs were way above his ears like he was.
Uh-huh.
Still see him out there?
Yeah,
Well,
about a mile out.
let's just sit here for a while and let them settle down.
Mhm.
Maybe we'll make a stalk in about an hour. If they get down by that one point over there, then we'll have a good shot at them.
Think they bed down?
Well, we'll see. Let's just wait though. Hey, where's that arrowhead you found this morning? I want to look at that again. That's pretty neat. I can't believe that. That spot you found, it almost looked like an old Indian camp.
Yeah. And now how do they attach those to the arrow?
Well, it ties around. They probably used elk sinew or something. You know, in fact, what's really neat is you compare it with like one of the broadheads we're using. I mean, look at that. You got one from 100 years ago, and you got a modern steel broadhead, stainless steel broadhead. Yet both probably did the same thing. I wonder if that thing ever killed any elk or antelope or anything.
I wonder if they ever reuse them, if they resharpen them, or if they're...
I suppose they could chip the edges.
I would think so. I would think so.
Well,
They would do plenty of damage.
you save that. You hang on to that. That'll bring you luck, hopefully.
I'll take luck.
One, two, three, four, five. Any of them left sleeping?
Another herd was located nearby. Notice the reaction of the does to the decoy compared to the buck, whose attention is preoccupied by the rut.
Swing the deer to the right. Isn't that fascinating? There's one. Yeah.
A buck will use exhaustive measures to keep his herd together. The does continually try to escape with the buck in hot pursuit.
There you go, racing down the other side. The alfalfa.
Neither hunter succeeded in taking an antelope buck. However, the pleasure of bow hunting together and experiencing the thrill of close encounters while decoying antelope was reward enough. Most of Sherry's evenings were spent on stand waiting for the opportunity to take a buck. Just observing wildlife that are unaware of human presence is very enjoyable. Sherry is located adjacent to a deer trail that leads into an alfalfa field where deer feed. A very important point is illustrated by this kill. Jumping the bowstring is a frequent problem experienced by bow hunters. The deer is not looking toward Sherry, but the sound of the release triggers the instinctive reaction of the buck to run. Note the white box marking the spot where Sherry aimed. By the time the arrow reached the target, the deer had lunged and was almost out of the path of the arrow. Fortunately, this arrow angled far enough forward to be fatal.
There's some blood there. There you go. Congratulations.
Thanks. His head up just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. That looks good. We'll do a vertical shot here. Oh, yeah.
Well, you look like, in the post office, most wanted here.
Sherry chose to hunt elk in the short time remaining. Evening came, ending their chances with these wolves.
Hey, great!
Come on. How about that?
Great, is that your biggest?
He's a good one. He's about as big as I've gotten, yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Okay, you remember the point where we were the first day? Right up here?
Yeah.
Okay. Walked out there and bugled down off the point. That son of a gun answered, and he has got the raspiest bugle. He screamed at me. So I came barreling off the point, practically broke my neck, got down through the trees, and then I started sneaking when I got to the draw down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got up right to the edge, and I could see the cows coming right across this opening here, and then I saw the bull. Could you see the horns coming along? Oh, it was really neat. I wish you'd been there. And I snuck down that draw, got right up on the edge of the draw, and I started doing cow calls, and I was cow calling back the other way, like we talked about before. I didn't want to bugle too much, because he was the herd bull. And if I bugled, chances are he'd herd up all of his cows and take off. So I just cow called real softly, and every once in a while, he came right up to the edge. He stood there forever. You couldn't believe it. He was standing right behind all these pines, and he bugled, just screamed at me, practically blew my hat off. He was only about 20 yards away. So finally, he turned, he looked back at his cows, and then I would cow call back over the other way. And he turned and he started walking across to my right. And I came to full draw and went behind a tree and just held on him real good. And when he came out, he stopped. I cow called twice. First time he looked at me. The second time he stopped right in the opening, just perfect, and held right on him. 40 yards, turned it loose. He had hit him perfect. And he kept running right down through here. And I bugled right away, like I told you. And even though he'd taken that arrow, when I bugled, he stopped. He stopped right here in the opening. And then he started to wobble, and boom, down he went. I knew I had him.
How far to go?
I don't know. I think it can't be where you can see where he was. It can't be 75 yards. Right down. All right.
Proud of you.
Well, you about done with that magazine? We're gonna load this rack and your decoy and all the rest of this stuff.
Yeah, I found out where I want to go hunting next.
Next? Now what? What do you want to hunt now?
They're hunting caribou in Russia.
Russia, that would be exotic.
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Well, come on, let's get this thing in here. Long ways to go.
Bull Mountain Legacy. A legacy of beautiful country, abundant game, and a rich Western history. A fascinating legacy of hunters and hunting that is being passed on from generation to generation, and from husband to wife, even today.